And welcome back. You're listening to KPCW Park City. This is the community campfire, and we're lucky to be joined in the studio by Park City's very own Jack Wakley. How you doing, Jack?
Good, man.
Good. I'm really glad that you're here and joining us today. Tell the people that are listening a little bit about yourself. Coming from Park City and who you are, what kind of music you make, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I grew up here actually in Park City, so it's cool to be on the radio station with you guys. And grew up playing music, moved out to LA, started a little career with recording and producing and such. And I'm currently working on music all the time. Got a couple projects, but my solo project is called Jack Wakley. And I finished recording an album at the beginning of 2024 and released it in the middle of 2024. And it's out for everybody to hear.
Well, congratulations on the new album. Yeah, we were just talking about that a little off camera that you had just released it. And so what is the name of the album and what was the concept behind it?
Yeah, the name of the album is called In a River Running Dry. And it was sort of, it was kind of a hodgepodge of different things without getting into like the specific meaning of any songs. It was kind of generally about loss, losing people, whether that's to like death or if it's like a relationship that is just gone. And I wanted to kind of experiment with making things that sounded uplifting, where the lyrical content was actually much darker than the music itself.
Yeah, that's an interesting dichotomy between the two feels there. Mm-hmm. One question that I wanted to ask you kind of more in general, and then we'll go into the album specifically. Musicians have a difficult job because they can constantly adjust and tweak their music. There's not really like an end that is defined for you like other jobs and, deadlines and things like that. Mm-hmm. So, you as the artist must decide when you feel a song is done. So, how do you know when a song is done? And subsequently, how do you know when your album is done? You went through this past year. Tell me about that process a little bit.
Dude, it's really difficult. I really struggle with it in particular. But I think this album was a huge learning process in the sense that I had to learn that. I had to learn when to just kind of call it. And I think you're never fully done. Mm-hmm. Like even now I listen to it and there's like 100 things I would change about it, which is crazy because it's only been out for half a year. But I think it's just like there's a moment where you're happy with it and you're like, you just have to be like good enough. And I'll show it to some family and friends, and I'll try to take everybody's opinion with a grain of salt because not everybody's gonna jive with it the same way. But at the end of it, I'll try and just be like, you know what, it's doing the thing. It's close enough, and then you just got to call it. I think that's how it works for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that a lot of people out there, they're not artists, and so they don't understand that songwriting process. Mm-hmm. How would you say when you are writing a song, what that process looks like in terms of from start to finish? Because I know the initial songwriting process is usually you with a guitar, right? And you kind of capture a moment, capture a feeling, start writing lyrics. And so how much of like the song is actually made during that initial step versus like the later production actually making it to what we finally hear on the end result there in the album?
That's a really good question. Yeah, it at the very beginning, it's like you said, it's just like guitar and usually like some humming of vocals, just like little melodic ideas kind of floating, nothing super concrete to start. It's just it's really just like a sketch, and it's always spontaneous. It's just like when I'm feeling something, I might just be practicing guitar, or I might be like about to fall asleep and I'm like, oh wait, and I have to sit up and I have to do it before I fall asleep, and I can't fall asleep until I do that. But once I have that little sketch, then I'll start recording down some general ideas, get the tempo, get the key for my voice, and I'm shifting that at the beginning, going up and down, trying to find the right key for my voice. And then I will sort of get the structure of the song, see how long it's going to be. And after all of that is kind of that whole skeleton is built, then the lyrics come, and then the different parts, the synth parts and guitar parts and all the drums and bass all start taking shape slowly. But I like to start with some drums and some guitar and some bass, just getting the feel. And I'm not as good of a piano player as I am as a guitar player. So I'll usually use the guitar almost as like a way of guiding everything. And then the synths tend to come right before the vocals, and the vocals are last.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's, it's all piecing together into, a full track that people can go and enjoy. Personally, speaking of the tracks, a song I love on the record is Chin Up. It's got a really unique blend of acoustic and electronic elements. I think people will like that. Also, it has a refreshing and genuine positive message that people can resonate with. So I personally like that one off the record. Is there a song on the record that you like the most? I know it's hard to pick between all these. They're like your children, But is there one that you like to highlight to our listeners out there?
I think my favorite. I have a couple favorites for different reasons, but my favorite overall is probably either Please Come Back or Mojo Joe. I think Please Come Back is the best chorus on the record.
The most catchy
chorus, but it's really it's melancholic and it's euphoric at the same time. It's hitting all the right notes for me. So musically, I like that one the most. But personally, I love Mojo Joe because it's just a really sweet song. And other than Mojo Joe, like I said, most of the songs on the record are about loss. And Mojo Joe is not necessarily about loss, but it's sort of about the anticipation of potential loss, where it's it's about my brother, and he's gone through a lot of mental health struggles and things, and it's kind of a cry out, saying don't leave me.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be my younger brother. I'm supposed to leave before you. But at the end of the day, it's not that dark of a song. It's a really sweet song, and I think that's probably my overall favorite, just personally for my heart.
Well, that's wonderful, and I know people out there can resonate with that in their own lives. Now, we want to wrap up the interview here in a sec so we can hear you play some of your songs, but I want to, touch on your connection to home here. Park City is where you grew up, and I'm sure it's had an impact on you as a musician and as a person. Do you feel like there's anything about Park City that you can point to that helped develop your tone or your identity as a musician or as a person?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Let me think about that. Well, something that's really amazing about Park City is, at least when I was going to school here, there's so many great musicians, even in my grade. And there are so many great directors and teachers that I really looked up to. Dennis Harrington, Chris Taylor, Caleb Chapman, those guys, they all had a big influence on me. Had a lot of different genres that I explored, just on my own. I loved rock music as a kid, and then I got into some classical music. Oh yeah, Michael Bayless, got to mention him too. He's my guitar teacher for a long time. And I got into classical music, and then I got into jazz music, and then from there I branched into so many other genres, and I felt really like I could network with other people my age, even as a young person, and jam with people and be in bands and stuff like that. So that was really huge. And then, of course, Park City's really cool with all its little live stages and stuff. Park Silly Market and little farmers markets and things we'd perform at every week if we could as little groms. So yeah, I mean, Park City is great for that, and it's also just a beautiful place, and there's so much nature here, and I'm such a nature boy, and I think nature is a big part of feeling inspired for me if I'm kind of feeling locked up creatively. Go on a hike, get outside, and listen to the river, listen to the birds, look at the trees and stuff, and it sort of like kind of brings you back and it like resets you. So I feel really lucky to have grown up here. It's really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely has an influence on those of us who did grow up here, and definitely also adjusts to your music as well. To wrap up the interview here, what's next for you, Jack? Do you have a new record that you're working on? Are there more live performances or something else?
Yeah, I have an album coming. This is actually probably my first time announcing it officially. I'm working on my second album right now, and I won't say more than that. I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to make any promises or anything. It might take longer than I think, but I would love to release it as soon as I can. And I have another show coming up. Just played a few shows here in Park City, which went really well. We just had one last night, which was awesome. We're going to be playing another show in it's Silver Lake in Los Angeles. It's on the border of Silver Lake and Hollywood. It's a venue called El Cid. That's EL_CID. It's a really cool little club. And yeah, that's my next stuff coming up.
Well, excellent. And to wrap it up, where can people find you and your music and and listen to you?
Anywhere, man. It's all up. Everybody can release their music on all the streaming platforms these days, so you can find it Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you're listening. Instagram's Jack Wakley with 2 Y's, and that's WAKLEYY. And that's it, man.
Excellent. Well, I know that this is the interview portion of this section here for the community campfire, but you have a couple songs that you want to play as well. Do you want to tell the audience what you're going to play?
Yeah, so I'm going to do Roller Coaster and Mojo Joe.
Okay, excellent. Well, we're looking forward to that. Again, it's KPCW Park City.
Thanks.